TPC Harding Park, major championship venue for the very first time. Proud history.
And you're taking a live look at the PGA Championship live at TPC Harding Park, right in San Francisco. Right now, you've got a big, interesting leaderboard, which we'll get to in a second. But I've got my own leaderboard. I've got the boys. I've got Mr. Seal and Jamie. Good to see you, fine gentlemen. And Jamie, let's start with you. This is the first major of the year. This is what it's all about. I mean, it's been such a blanked-up year, if I may. It's got to be a lot of good feelings flowing through you watching an actual major during a year filled with COVID.
Fantastic, isn't it? It's about time we got all these golfers back in the frame, and they're all playing on the same day on a brand new course, and it'll separate the men from the boys this week, won't it?
It definitely will. Talk about the PGA itself. This is a brand new course that, as far as they've never played a major or a PGA event on it. And how did you kind of look at the selection or selections you made this week when it came to the PGA Championship?
Well, yeah, they actually have played here before. They played the match play here in 2015. That McIlroy defeated Woodland, I believe, in the final.
That's right, no major.
Yeah, it wasn't a major. This is the first major here. The course has undergone a lot of renovation since then, so it's basically a different course. Par 70, 72, 7,200 yards, something like that. Basically, what I did with this, obviously, we've got no course form to look at for this week. So I went back into the past. I go back into sort of the last 5 US PGA winners, all the way back to Jimmy Walker back in the day. And there's some definite trends there for these guys. Recent form was real strong coming into this tournament, as well as all of those last 5 winners all had a top 20 in this tournament, one of the previous last 2 years. So that's what I was basically looking at. The trouble was with this week was all of the guys that I kind of liked are the favorites. We got Justin Thomas here. I really liked him. I like Brooks as well, and I like Dustin. And the trouble is at 10 plus 1,000 plus 1,200, you can't bet all 3. And I really don't like betting plus 1,000 shots in a 4-day golf tournament.
Right.
So we actually set. I actually only settled on one player this week, which was Adam Scott. I know he sort of bucks the trend for recent form because he basically hasn't got any. But he did win in California at the start of the year in February. And if there's any one player in the world who can really come back from a long break and hit the ground running, especially in a major, it probably is Adam Scott. I mean, we look at the last few weeks and the players who have come back first time out. Tommy Fleetwood came back in Minnesota. I think he missed the cut. Henrik Stenson came back last week, played well, but didn't really have an impact on the leaderboard. And Adam Scott was the last one to sort of come back out first time this year. So he's -2 right now. We'll be there for the weekend. Maybe if he gets an earlier tee time and things dry out later on in the afternoon and the wind picks up, if he can shoot a low score, hopefully he'll be there or thereabouts on Sunday.
Yeah, and Jamie Adam Scott, as you mentioned, he shot a 68-70, and right there, tied for 24th, the leader on Tong as of the time we're recording this right now on Friday afternoon East time. Hao Tong Lee, who I don't think anyone had, Jamie, leads at -8. He's tied with Jason Day, 67-65 for Lee. A guy that I took, Tommy Fleetwood, in third, or tied for second, excuse me, -6 with Schauffele and Koepka and Cameron Champ right behind them as well. Yeah, so, when you look at what the weird schedule this year, Jamie, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit on this show before. You mentioned no history on this course recent for these guys that are, the top level players in the game right now. But how about the fact this year is so wacky where more guys were playing more events than maybe in years past, but everything's so condensed, no fans out in San Francisco. Does that make things even trickier?
I think, do you know what? I heard a podcast the other day that was a Curtis Strange interview. And he always said how he never played well in the USPGA. simply because he was tired after a long summer. Now we've got all of these majors coming up. You've got the FedEx Cup coming up as well. Players are going to have to pick and choose as to where they want to play and what's more important to them. Obviously Justin Thomas, pretty much like he's probably got the FedEx Cup sort of signed, sealed, and delivered. He'll probably take a couple of those tournaments off. But by the time you get into November for the Masters, these guys are going to have played a lot of big tournaments in a short amount of time, and that's when you get all these big names at the top of the betting. And if they've had a really busy, tough 3-4 months without a lot of time off, come the Masters in November, they may all be burnt out. So yeah. I obviously, you look at the Masters and you think Brooks, Dustin, Bryson with his length. But again, if these guys are playing every other week for the last 4 months or so, I'd be surprised if an outsider wins that.
Yep, I think it's going to be very, very interesting. By the way, you can see Jamie's website. The guy has been money on golf for years, scratchcaddy.com. You can also get it at scratchcaddy, CADDIE. Jamie, you got them both. Very smart, and I'll caddy for you anytime. Let's go to my man, Mr. Steele, live in the sports dungeon in Philadelphia. You look great, Steele. For once, actually, Jamie's Wi-Fi is great, and yours with the fish tank is the inferior one, but we fixed it. You look great. Seal, let's talk about a few things here. I want to start with something we touched on last week that is frustrating to me as a sports broadcaster, that I'm sure is frustrating to you as a sports handicapper. And I just wonder where you're at with this. How is Major League Baseball, with another suspension as of tonight, when we're taping on Friday with the Cardinals? I know it's only one player that tested positive, but they're postponing their games again. I'm here in Detroit. The 4-game series that was all going to be here in Detroit with the Tigers and the Cardinals, the rematch of the 68 World Series and the 06 World Series and all that stuff, all postponed. How are we going to get through a Major League Baseball season when every other day another team tests positive?
It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie to you. I just think – I don't know how they're going to make up all these games. I know they're playing doubleheaders, 7-inning games. But just like the minor leagues do, some of the leagues do. But there's a lot of games to be made up. I don't know how they're going to get scheduled for each team to play the same amount of games, and if it comes down at the end of before the postseason with winning percentage and stuff. I just don't know how they're going to make up all these games. I don't know what they're going to do. St. Louis is going to miss 7 games. That's if they're allowed to play when this series is over. The Phillies missed 8 games. The Marlins missed 7 games. It's a mess. Basically, it's a mess.
It is. By the way, the Maestro, he's not going to come on the show today. He'll be in the future because he's only on for the biggest ones. But the Maestro Starsky is here. He's involved in the studio right now, and he sends his love to you guys. So, by the way, you can see Mr. Seal's incredible picks are available, as always, at sportshandicapper.com. Talk about getting a great name for a website. What did you pay for that, $5-6? Times 17 zeros. It's pretty great. Now, so we're going to get to hoops in a second here, but back to baseball, because as I mentioned, it's a frustrating thing. If they cancel the season, all futures wagers are going to be refunded, all the kind of stuff that we've talked about throughout the year. But I just wonder, for you and the great work you do and spend on putting together picks as a handicapper, right now with all this uncertainty, has your approach been, all right, I'm going to back up a little bit, not make as many plays because I might put all this research into a great line, a great pitching matchup, great analytics, and then the game gets postponed? Or are you looking even more so for angles? And yeah, maybe the game gets postponed, but there's some real weak lines out there that you want to jump on and give to the people out there.
I got to be honest with you. At this time, I'm trying to be careful.
Sure.
Be disciplined, because I handicap pitching. Obviously, they say it's 90% of the game, and it is. A lot of guys are breaking down with arms. Bad arms. There's a lot of injuries out there. You got to know who's pitching hurt, who's trying to get through pitching with a little something wrong with them. And there's a lot of guys that are breaking down, basically. it's brutal. I don't know how they're going to make it. That's why they have their extended rosters, but they went from 30 to 28 as of Thursday. They still have a bunch of arms in the bullpens, so the bullpens are loaded. But you got to wonder when they're going to start wearing down too. Because
see, when you look at this weekend, is there any series you're looking at? Anything? As you mentioned, I know you're being careful, which I think is the smart way to be. But is there anything you're looking at this weekend? Because it looks like most of these series are going to go. And there's some interesting matchups. Where are you at with the games, Major League Baseball-wise, this weekend?
I've been looking at the totals, basically. I've been really zoning in on the totals in baseball. Sides, not as much. The big favorites like the Dodgers, there's no value betting them. What are they? 290 tonight. They're begging to get the other sides. They're begging to put you on the dogs in these games, and not interested. Every once in a while I'll take a big dog, but I've been really concentrating on the totals basically. So,
and you can always, of course, get the live lines as we've discussed on this show many times at inspin.com. The Sports Edge show is powered by inspin.com. So check out as you take a look at their odds. So you mentioned the Dodgers game, which comes up later tonight. My Tigers playing in Pittsburgh. They're going to finally play for the first time all week. It's such a weird thing. I do like Matt Boyd tonight. Kind of a small money favorite there, but I mean, how can you trust the Tigers, who are a wild card team right now? They're playing better. But you mentioned that Dodgers game.
And the Marlins are in first place.
Yeah, Marlins in first place. They were like 1,000 to 1 to win the World Series. The Dodgers, as you mentioned, with Urias minus 275, not a ton of value there at all. But there's the card for tonight. Always check out the live lines on inspin.com, whether it's baseball, hockey, basketball, and golf. You got everything on there. So check out inspin.com. Jamie, let's get back to you as we talk about this PGA, and we'll dip back in to a little live PGA coverage, if we may. And any chance I know a lot about golf. I just played some great golf up north in Michigan, 2 of the best rounds of my modern adult life. But I don't know much about Han Tong Lee. Were you aware of Han Tong Lee, who is leading the PGA right now at -8? Have you ever taken him in the past?
Dude, I don't think I ever have taken him. I have taken Jason Day a couple of times, and I was just looking like what I said before with current form and PGA form. You look at his current form over the past 3 weeks. He's had a 4th and a 6th, and in the last 2 USPGAs, he's come 23rd and 19th. So he's the epitome of the guy who I was sort of looking for. The trouble is, what I sometimes you make the mistake of listening to a load of other podcasts and talks about Jason Day and him withdrawing and this and the cold weather in San Francisco, and they sort of put me off him. I should stop listening to other so-called experts and just stick with the maths and the numbers and let the chips fall where they may.
Jamie, let's be honest. The only
but having said that, it looks as though he's just driven out of bounds.
Yeah, let's be honest here. The only expert that matters is you. So we have other guys out there. We have other guys that are okay, but none of them are scratch caddy. None of them are Jamie good. So let's stick with that. But I did want to ask you about matchups and where you fall on those. Do you give them out sometimes? I mean, you've got a big event this weekend. It's a major, the first major of the year. Being played in August, just so weird. But when you look at the in-tournament, in-progress matchups and or futures odds, so based on the sports book, and I know obviously people aren't traveling to Vegas like they used to, but a lot of people obviously are using offshore. And I'm here in Detroit. Our sports books just opened back up. FanDuel and others at the casinos here in Detroit, literally yesterday and today. So that's good news for betting. But when you look at the in-progress stuff, like let's say matchups for the round tomorrow or the futures odds after today for the rest of the tournament, where do you fall when you kind of look into that? Is there value there? What would you tell the average bettor out there about that kind of stuff? Did I lose him? Did he freeze on me?
I think he's frozen. He looks like
I think Jamie's frozen. We will get him back. Seal, I'll let you answer for Jamie. You're a golf. I'm just kidding. You're a golf expert. We'll get Jamie back, and I'll rephrase that question. But I want to move. What's that?
I'm very good at miniature golfing.
Me too. Let's play for cash. It'll be sick. I mean, there's this great miniature golf place in northern Michigan, in a city called Traverse City. Very famous. Kid Rock goes there a lot, and Michael Moore has a film festival there. It's called Pirates Cove. I would put that course up against any course in the country. So I'll fly you in on the Seal Express. We'll set up a 4-round tournament matchup, and we'll play for, I say, $10,000.
I'm in.
All right, let's talk.
Finally manicured?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The fake ring stuff is perfect. Yeah.
Everything. Waterfalls, beautiful greens, pirates, beautiful women that cheer you on. It's great. It's great. We were talking before we got going today about the NBA. And I know you weren't very happy with your local Philadelphia 76ers. But let's talk about what you've seen so far from this NBA restart. It looks like the weirdest thing sometimes. These guys are playing in like a ballroom with virtual fans. But there's been some really good games. And something that you were on before the restart even happened was the totals going over. And they're going over at a crazy rate. Kind of encapsulate for us right now the last, let's say, week or so of this restart.
No defense. Nobody's
none
defense. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I did say before the restart started that it would be like preseason games, and basically we got preseason games because that's what they were. A lot of weird things happening. You got the Lakers with LeBron James saying there's problems going on in which he won't say. I don't know if you heard it. There was a report out on ESPN. I mean, when you sign a guy like Deion Waiters and you have Dwight Howard on your team, I mean, there has to be problems eventually, right? I mean, these are not great guys. So not surprising there's trouble in Lakerland, put it mildly.
Yeah,
the Bucks this week, they get trounced. He doesn't play his players, Bullheiser doesn't play his players in the second half. So you figured, the next game they play the Heat, and Butler and Dragic weren't playing. You figure they come out in the first half and trounce them. They're down 18 points at halftime. Very weird stuff happening in the NBA. Very strange stuff. Now that
leads me to a great question that I'm fascinated when we get a chance to discuss this either on the show or off the show. A lot of weird stuff going on. Now, as a highly respected handicapper that wins over and over again, you gave out that Orlando Magic Nets pick when it was at 1.5 and it went to 7, then went to 12, and the Magic, I think at one point were up by 30 in the first half. So we obviously know that you know what you're doing, and you've done this for a long time. Someone like you that's got the experience, that understands patience, that understands research, with all the weird stuff going on, obviously this is a great time, and even more important than usual, to get hooked up and go to sportshandicapper.com. But aside from that, what is the process like for you? Are you, like we talked about in baseball, kind of backing away a little bit, being extra careful? Are you trying to find and hammer some of these really weak totals or spreads? Where are you at with all of that, Seal?
Trying to pick my spots because you can't go out there at bat 4 or 5 games in this environment. There's too many unknowns, a lot of these teams, they don't even show up sometimes. But it's like the preseason, basically. Now you're getting a lot of teams that are starting to rest players. They just want to get them in shape for the regular season. Well, for the playoffs, basically. And I don't blame the coaches. Some of the games they're playing big minutes. You see Harden playing over 40 minutes. Westbrook played over 40 minutes. Then he got hurt again, of course. But that's the delicate balance you have. But a guy like coach of Houston, he doesn't care. He'll play Harden 40 minutes in the preseason, in the real preseason. That's just the kind of coach he is. You just have to know that different angles. That's all. It's all about the coaching.
Let's take a look at the InSpin live lines for tonight. Anything that you're excited about that's juicy for tonight? We already obviously had the Jazz and Spurs play earlier, but you've got a couple games or a few games later tonight. The Magic and your Sixers that comes up just a little bit. And then you have Washington and the Pels and the Celtics at the Raptors. Anything you're looking at tonight or these August 8th games? I'm interested in that Lakers-Pacers game. You brought up, issues in La La Land or Orlando Land. But I think the Pacers are a live dog in that game, though it's really kind of an even spread. What are we thinking about the weekend?
Well, I'll tell you what. If T.J. Warren scores 50, I guess they'll be in the game because he's been absolutely on fire since the bubble.
Yeah.
He leads the bubble. I mean, he can't miss. I don't know if you watched any of their games, but he put up 53 against Philly. Put up over 40 in other games.
See, I don't know if you're a daily fantasy player. TJ Warren has been a sexy, incredibly valuable pick for a long, long time when it comes to daily fantasy. So I'm going to stay on that TJ Warren train.
I don't blame you, especially they're missing Sabonis in the middle, so he's getting more shots, a lot more shots, and it's working well for him. But I hear other coaches trouble. There's a report out that McMillan might be canned, so we'll see. Yeah.
Any other games you're looking at when it comes to the weekend, my friend?
Well, on the weekend tonight, interesting game. New Orleans is playing tonight against the Wizards, and they're sitting Zion Williamson tonight. He's just basically not in shape. I mean, I don't know what happened to him. He left the bubble. He came back, and he was supposed to be in great shape when the bubble started. He left for 5-6 days. He came back. He must have did a lot of eating over those 5-6 days.
See, we all know you can't leave the bubble. The bubble is there for a reason. You can't leave the bubble. You're in your sports dungeon bubble. You can't leave the bubble.
Well, they've had no positive COVID-19 test. Not one person positive, in 3 weeks there? It works. The bubble works.
It does. The bubble works. And listen, it's working in the NHL, but it ain't working in Major League Baseball because they're stupid. All right, we'll get back to you.
Major League Baseball. It's impossible to do it. Where are you going to play? Well, the game's in Arizona and Florida. It's 118 in Arizona today.
I know.
You can't play.
I guess
there.
Why do they do this? Why do they go up to the Sky Dome in Canada? Oh, wait. They can't go to Canada because Canada restricts U.S. travelers. All right, I think
when the Toronto Blue Jays finally get home, I think it's August 13th when they play their real home games. They're playing in Buffalo. They're a minor league club. It's a bandbox. Look for a lot
Let's pray they get back there and the season's still going on. All right, do we have Jamie back? Not yet. Not yet. Seal, it's still you and me, which people love. They love Mr. Seal. By the way, a shout out to Mini Seal, your tech expert, who's done a great job setting up the sports dungeon today. So big shout out to Mini Seal. But let's talk about what we can expect for the rest of this bubble. It looks like the NBA, I'll admit I was wrong. I did not think any team sport in this country was going to get through it. And now, knock on wood, there could end up being issues in the NBA bubble. I hope not. Hope no one's going for more strip club wings or going out to get, Chick-fil-A drive-through. But it looks like it's going to be fine. And as this continues to go on, are you going to look at making some plays on odds to win the NBA championship? Obviously getting ready for playoff series. Where are you at with all that stuff?
I'm looking to fade the Lakers and Milwaukee. I think there's value betting some other teams. It's weird watching these games without the home fans. It looks like it's affected some of these teams. I think that there's more parity. The Lakers and Milwaukee were huge odd-on favorites to win it.
Right.
I'm looking at a team that's slightly underneath them, maybe the Clippers, if they ever get all their players back in the bubble, like Lou Williams just came back and Harrell is coming back. But I think it tightened up the gap a little bit. I think it's going to be a little different. I mean, Game 7 at home in a playoff series is huge when you're home. That's what they fight all year for. And now you're not going to get that. You're basically playing neutral games on neutral courts, and anything can happen. That's why I think the people that are betting the two big favorites might be a little disappointed.
Giannis Antetokounmpo yesterday said that he thinks that they have no competition whatsoever on their way to the championship round. I picked Milwaukee last year, Seal. I think that they're an incredible team. I think they're well coached. I think Giannis is the best player in the NBA. But I think you look at the way that this bubble is set up, the way that the season was kind of, just train wrecked after the day that the sports world stood still with Rudy Gobert, that, yes, you would think the Bucks are a great play. I had the Bucks Clippers in the preseason this year with the Clippers winning it all. You mentioned the dissension and weirdness going on with the Lakers. I would not be surprised at all if a team like Denver, if a team like Boston won the championship, right? There's no way to handicap it.
I agree. Boston, I think Boston's a great team. I think they could give them a hell of a series. And Denver's a good team, really good team. Now, they don't have that home court advantage in the Mile High playing in Denver anymore, obviously, but they're deep. They have a good team. They can give anybody a hell of a 7-game series. I've liked Denver for 2 years now, and they finally put it. And if you noticed, the guy in the middle, he looks like he lost 30 pounds since the restart. Jokic.
He does. Yep, Jokic. The Joker is incredible. A lot of these guys took it very seriously, getting ready for this restart. I mean, some didn't, but most of them seemed to take it pretty seriously. They wanted to play. And a guy like Jokic, you mentioned Denver. They're a very interesting team because they have been talented enough and coached well enough by Mike Malone for a while to be better. This could be the kind of break they needed where there's no home court advantage. They're all in one place. It's a fun team. It's a dangerous team, like you mentioned.
I wouldn't want to play them in a 7-game series. No way. I mean, they're that talented. And they've been under the radar a little bit for the last couple of years. I guess people don't care about sports in Denver, but 2 years ago, nobody cared about them. This year, they're having a good season. Nobody really talks about Denver. Nobody wants to play them in the 7-game series. Not with that guy in the middle, the Joker. He's unbelievable. He's
the truth.
And he's
the truth. Let's see. We got our man Jamie. Did you go get some snacks? Were you hungry? Are you back?
I see a black screen.
I see a blue screen. I mean, he looks good. He looks good to me. Let's see. Let's try this. James. Oh, now I see a black screen. That sucks. We tried our best. Well, listen, Seal, before we go, I'm going to give Jamie one more chance here. But as I always like to ask you on the way out, what are you looking at? Baseball, basketball? What's your kind of feeling for the weekend? What should people be looking for? And, of course, as I mentioned, sportshandicapper.com. Seal's been doing this for a long time. He's as young as I am, but he's been doing it since before I was born, which doesn't make any sense, but it sounds great. So what should people be focusing on right now?
In Major League Baseball, I'm going to be honest with you, I think the pitchers, for some odd reason, were ahead of the hitters early on. I thought the hitters would be ahead of the pitchers. It's been reversed. I think the hitters are going to start heating up a little bit, and I think you're going to see some overs and some higher scoring games. You've had a lot of unders in the first 10 days. I think it's going to flip. I think I'm looking towards some overs. Specific games, but I could see the scoring going up. Put it that way. I don't think the trend's going to continue with the pitching. I really don't.
Well, always good stuff for you. Let's try one more time. I think we might have them. No, we don't. Jamie, are you there? Rat sticks. Well, we'll fix that.
He's a tech guy like I do. That's his problem. He needs a tech guy.
I know. He needs a tech guy. He needs the international tech guy. All right, we'll see you. Don't forget, get his picks at sportshandicapper.com. Jamie's at scratchcaddy.com. Seal, I'm already starting to work on that putt 4-day adventure for us. It's always a pleasure talking to you. You're on the Sport Bench Power.
Will Whitmer let me come in? Your governor? What do you think?
I know Governor Whitmer personally, so I can get you approved. And you're pretty famous anyway, so we'll get you in, even if it's in my trunk. We'll sneak you in.
Okay, gotcha.
Seal, great stuff. Great stuff as always. Wait, hold on. We might. Is it possible that we have them? No. All right, I give up. We want to thank Jamie as well. Don't forget to get his pitch at scratchcaddy.com. Seal, stay safe. We'll be here next week. For my friend Seal and for Jamie, I'm Dan Leach. You're watching The Sports Edge, powered by InSpin.com. Until next time, wash your hands, spread love, not hate, and believe in the dream. Take care.
Thanks.